My name is Anna. I am 26 years old. I live in Ohio. I used to be an athlete. I ran races in school. I trained every day. I felt strong. I felt proud. But after school, my life changed. I stopped running. I stopped training. I felt tired all the time. I did not know what was wrong. I just felt low. Now, I work in a sports shop. I sell shoes and shirts. I help people find what they need. I stand for many hours. I smile at customers, but inside I feel weak. My back hurts. My legs hurt. My heart feels heavy. I miss the old me, the girl who ran fast, the girl who had dreams. One day, I came home from work. I put down my bag. I sat on the floor. I looked at my running shoes. I did not touch them for months. They were dusty. They looked old. I felt sad. I felt like crying. I asked myself, where did my energy go? The next morning, I woke up early. It was Saturday. I did not work that day. I made tea and looked out the window. The sky was blue. The sun was out. I wanted to feel better. I wanted to move my body. I saw the park from my window. I thought, maybe I can go. I put on my old shoes. I wore a simple jacket. I walked slowly to the park. I did not run. I did not plan anything. I just wanted to be outside. The air was fresh. The trees were green. I saw a few people. Some walked. Some stretched. Some sat and talked. I stopped near a tree. I stretched my arms. Then I stretched my legs. My body felt stiff, but it also felt good. I took a deep breath. I stayed in the park for 10 minutes. Then I went home. I felt a little better. My body was not so heavy. My head was not so full. The next day I went again. This time I stayed longer. I walked around the path. I did a few small exercises. I touched my toes. I moved my arms. I sat on a bench and watched people. One woman smiled at me. She was doing slow leg lifts. I smiled back. Each day, I did a little more. I started doing jumping jacks. I did light push-ups on a low bench. I walked in circles. I watched the sky. I listened to the birds. I saw the same people again. One man waved. One older woman said, "Good to see you again." Her voice was kind. I felt welcome. One morning, I saw a group doing slow moves. They were doing Tai Chi. I watched from far. They looked calm. Their hands moved like water. A man saw me and said, "You can join." I said, "I'm not good." He said, "Just move. You don't need to be perfect." So I joined. I liked it. It felt soft, but strong. After 2 weeks, I felt a change. My back hurt less. My legs felt better. I started to sleep more. I stopped eating junk food. I cooked rice and eggs at home. I drank water. I stopped drinking soda. I did not feel full of pain. I started to feel light again. My coworker at the shop said, "You look different." I smiled. She asked, "Are you working out?" I said, "I go to the park." She said, "That's great." I felt proud. I did not go to a gym. I did not have a coach. I just went outside. I moved my body. I started small. That was enough. One Sunday, I met a woman in the park. She looked about 60. She was sitting on a bench. I stretched near her. She said, "Your body is strong." I said, "I'm trying to come back." She smiled. "Every day is a step," she said. I liked her words. We talked for a few minutes. Then I walked again. Even when I had a bad day, I still went. One day, I made a mistake at work. A customer shouted at me. I felt sad. I almost cried. But after work, I went to the park. I did 10 slow squats. I breathed deeply. I walked around the path. I looked at the sky. I felt better. The bad feeling left my body. One rainy day, I still went. I wore my hood. The ground was wet. I did arm circles under a tree. I watched the rain fall. A little girl in a red coat jumped in a puddle. She laughed. Her mom smiled. I smiled too. I felt happy in that moment. Now I go to the park almost every day. I do not go fast. I do not try to win anything. I just move. Sometimes I walk. Sometimes I stretch. Sometimes I do 10 push-ups. Sometimes I sit and breathe. But I go. That is what matters. I met another girl at the park. Her name is Grace. She comes every Saturday. She does small exercises too. One day she asked, "Can we stretch together?" I said yes. Now we meet each week. We stretch. We talk. We laugh. I like her company. She makes me feel strong. This new habit changed my life. I do not feel lazy anymore. I do not feel slow. I still work at the shop. I still stand all day, but I feel better. I smile more. I eat better. I sleep better. My body is not perfect, but it is mine, and I am proud of it. Sometimes I think about my past. I remember the medals. I remember the races. That part of me is still there. But now, I do not need a medal. I do not need a race. I move because I want to. I move because it helps me feel alive. I tell my friends, just start small. 10 minutes is enough. You do not need to run. You do not need a gym. Just go outside. Just move your arms. Move your legs. Breathe. Feel the sun. Feel the air. Let your body wake up again. One morning, I saw a man with a cane. He was walking very slowly. I smiled at him. He smiled back. He said, "You're lucky. You move with ease." I said, "I try my best." He nodded. He said, "Keep going. It helps the heart." I thanked him. His words stayed with me. Now even if I feel sad, I go. Even if I feel tired, I go. I do not wait for the weekend. I do not wait for a friend. I do not wait for the sun. I just go. I always feel better after. Every time. Even on the hard days. One evening, I came home from work. My feet were sore. My head felt full. The day was long. I had to help many people. Some were kind. Some were not. I wanted to rest. I wanted to lie down. But I told myself, go to the park. I put on my shoes. I took a water bottle. I walked outside. The sun was low. The sky was orange. The air felt cool. The park was quiet. I saw a few people. One man was doing push-ups. A woman stretched under a tree. 2 kids played near the grass. I smiled and kept walking. I found a quiet spot. I sat on the bench. I closed my eyes. I took a deep breath. After a few minutes, I stood up. I did some shoulder rolls. I lifted my arms. I touched my toes. My back made a small sound, but it felt good. I did 10 slow squats. My legs felt heavy at first, but after a while, they felt strong. I looked around. I felt calm. The park helped me again. On Saturday, I met Grace at the park. She smiled and waved. "Hi, Anna," she said. "Ready to move?" I smiled. "Yes, let's go," I said. We found a flat space near the trees. We did some jumping jacks. Then we did arm swings. Grace showed me a new move. It was a slow twist. We both laughed when we got it wrong. We talked while we moved. We talked about work. We talked about food. We talked about life. Grace works in a bakery. She starts work at 5 in the morning. She said, "I feel tired all the time." I said, "I felt like that too." She said, "This helps me now." I smiled. "Me too." After our session, we sat on the bench. We drank water. We looked at the trees. A dog ran past us. A man called out, "Bella, come back!" The dog stopped and wagged her tail. We both laughed again. Then Grace said, "Before, I always stayed home. I did nothing. I felt bad. Now I come here. I move. I feel alive." I looked at her and said, "I understand. I was the same. We sat in silence for a while. It was a nice silence. A soft wind blew past us. The trees made a sound. The leaves danced in the air. It felt peaceful. It felt good to just sit and breathe. The next day, I came to the park alone. Grace had to work. I walked to my usual place. I did some slow jogs in a circle. Then I did some leg stretches. I closed my eyes and listened. I heard birds. I heard a child laugh. I heard the wind in the trees. I felt full of peace. Then I saw someone new. A young man stood near the fence. He did some light kicks. Then he did slow breathing. I watched him for a moment. His moves were strong and soft at the same time. He looked focused. I liked that. I started to stretch near him. We did not talk, but it felt nice to be near someone calm. After a few days, I saw him again. He nodded. I smiled. That day I asked, "Do you come here often?" He said, "Every day. It helps me stay calm." I said, "Me too." We did not say more. We just did our exercises. Sometimes small words are enough. Sometimes quiet is nice. Later that week, something happened at work. A boy came in with his father. The boy knocked over a shelf. Boxes fell to the floor. The father shouted at me. He said, "Why is this not safe?" I stayed calm. I cleaned the mess. I said, "It's okay." But inside, I felt shaken. I wanted to cry. When my shift ended, I walked out fast. I did not go home. I went straight to the park. I did not talk to anyone. I just started moving. I stretched my arms. I bent my legs. I moved my body slowly. I breathed in and out. I stayed for almost 1 hour. By the time I left, I felt better. The pain in my chest was gone. The fear in my heart was soft now. I said to myself, "You are strong. You are okay." And I knew it was true. The park helped me again. My body helped me again. Some days it is hard to go. One morning, it rained a little. The sky was gray. I felt sleepy. I sat on my bed and looked at my shoes. I asked myself, do I really want to go? Then I thought about how I feel after. I always feel better. So I put on my coat and went. The park was almost empty. One man walked his dog. A girl ran with a bright red umbrella. I did some slow steps. My shoes got wet. But I did not care. I moved my arms. I looked at the sky. The rain was soft. It felt clean. I smiled. That night I told my mom about the rain walk. She said, "You go even when it's wet?" I said, "Yes. I feel better every time." She laughed and said, "Maybe I should try too." I smiled. "Let's go when I visit you," I said. She said, "Deal." The next weekend, I saw the man with slow moves again. I asked, "What are you doing?" He said, "It is a mix of moves. Stretch, breathe, slow kicks." I said, "Can I learn?" He said, "Of course." We started doing the moves together. He counted 1, 2, 3. I followed him. It felt good. It was hard at first, but I liked it. After 20 minutes, we stopped. He said, "You did great." I said, "Thank you." Then we smiled and went our own way. We did not need many words. Moving together was enough. One morning, I met a new woman. She wore a yellow scarf. She looked about 40. She was doing small leg lifts. I said hello. She said, "You come here a lot." I said, "Yes. It helps me feel strong." She said, "I like that." She smiled. Then she joined me. We did 10 squats together. After that, we waved goodbye. That is what I love about the park. You do not need a plan. You do not need a gym. You do not need money. You just need time. You need space. You need to move. That is all. And it helps so much. At work, I started to stand taller. I smiled more. I felt light. I had more energy. My manager noticed. She said, "You seem happy these days." I said, "Yes." I started a small habit. She asked, "What is it?" I said, "I move every day. In the park." She smiled and said, "That sounds nice." That day, I helped many people. A girl asked about running shoes. I said, "What do you want to do?" She said, "Just light walking or exercise." I smiled. "That's great," I said. I helped her find the right shoes. She said thank you. I felt proud. I was helping others again. That evening, I walked to the park with Grace. She said, "Work was so hard today." I said, "Let's move. It helps." We did 10 slow push-ups. We did some easy kicks. Then we sat on the grass. We looked at the sky. The clouds were pink and soft. It was a good end to a hard day. Some days, the park is quiet. Some days, it is full of life. One Sunday morning, the park was busy. Children played near the swings. A man played soft music from a speaker. A group of women did yoga near the grass. I liked days like this. They made me feel part of something. I saw Grace near the trees. She waved. I waved back. We stretched together. I touched my toes. She rolled her shoulders. We talked about our week. I told her, "I helped a woman at work. She was kind." Grace smiled and said, "Kind people make the day better." I agreed. After we stretched, we sat on the bench. We drank water. A man walked past with 2 dogs. One dog barked at a squirrel. We both laughed. Grace said, this is the best part of my week. I smiled. Me too, I said. We sat in silence for a few minutes. It was peaceful. We watched the trees. We watched the sky. Later, I walked to the far side of the park. It was quieter there. I liked that area. It had more trees and shade. I found a spot near a small wooden bench. I did 10 light squats. Then I did some slow steps. I moved my arms in circles. I felt the sun on my face. I closed my eyes. I breathed slowly. After 10 minutes, I opened my eyes. I saw an older man sitting on the bench. He wore a green hat. He looked at me and said, "You move very well." I smiled. "Thank you," I said. He said, "I used to move like that. Now I just watch." I said, "Watching is good too." He smiled and nodded. We talked for a while. His name was Leo. He said he came to the park every morning. "I like to sit and breathe," he said. "I used to walk a lot, but now my legs are not so strong." I said, "It is nice that you still come." He smiled. "I come for the air, the sky, and the peace," he said. I liked that. I saw Leo a few more times that week. We did not always talk. Sometimes I just waved. Sometimes he waved first. But I liked seeing him. He became part of my park days, like the trees, the birds, and the sky. One afternoon, I saw a boy fall from his scooter. He was not hurt, but he looked scared. He sat on the ground and held his knee. I walked to him and said, "Are you okay?" He looked at me and nodded. "It just hurts a little," he said. I helped him stand. His mom came running. She said, "Thank you so much." I smiled and said, "It's okay." That evening, I told my mom about it. She said, "You're always helping people now." I said, "The park helps me, so I want to help others too." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "I'm proud of you, Anna." That made me smile. Her words meant a lot to me. The next morning, I woke up early. I made tea and sat by the window. I looked at the sky. It was still dark. I finished my tea and got ready. I put on my shoes and went outside. The air was cool. The street was quiet. Only one car passed. I liked that early feeling. It felt safe and soft. I walked to the park. The lights were still on. I saw a woman walking her dog. We smiled at each other. I did a few warm-ups. I lifted my arms. I stretched my legs. I jogged in place. Then I sat on a bench and looked at the trees. A bird flew past me. It was small and fast. I watched it fly into the sky. After 20 minutes, I went home. I took a warm shower. I made breakfast. I ate eggs and toast. I felt fresh. I felt ready for the day. That walk helped me again, just like it always does. At work, I helped many people. A woman asked about yoga mats. I helped her find one. She smiled and said, "Thank you for your time." I said, "You're welcome." She looked at my name tag and said, "You look very calm, Anna." I said, "I exercise in the park every day. It helps me feel good." She said, "Maybe I should try that too." Some days at work are still hard. Some customers are rude. Some shout. Some say nothing. But I stay calm. I smile. I do my job. And after work, I go to the park. I stretch. I move. I breathe. And I feel better. Every single time. One day, I forgot my water bottle. I felt a little upset. Then I saw Grace. She said, "I have extra." She gave me a small bottle. I said, "Thank you." She said, "You always share your time. I can share my water." That made me feel warm inside. Now, even when I feel lazy, I go. Even if it rains, I go. Even if it is cold, I go. I wear a jacket. I move slowly. But I still go. The park is part of my life now. It is part of my day. It is part of my healing. Sometimes I walk. Sometimes I stretch. Sometimes I just sit and breathe. But I always leave feeling better. The park gives me peace. The movement gives me strength. My body feels good again. My mind feels quiet. My heart feels open. People often ask me, "What do you do for health?" I say, "I move in the park." Some people laugh. Some smile. Some say, "That's too simple." But I know the truth. Simple things help the most. A quiet walk. A slow stretch. A kind smile. These small things make a big change. One day, I saw Leo again. He said, "You come every day now." I said, "Yes. It helps me stay strong." He looked at me and said, "You give people hope." I did not know what to say. I just smiled. His words stayed in my heart. Sometimes I walk alone. Sometimes with Grace. Sometimes I talk. Sometimes I stay silent. Each day is a little different. But each day helps. Each day gives me something. I remember when I was sad. I remember when I felt heavy. I remember when I wanted to stay in bed. Now I get up. I put on my shoes. I go outside. I breathe. I move. I feel free. I do not need to run. I do not need a gym. I do not need loud music or big plans. I just need space. I need fresh air. I need to move. And that is enough. Now I tell others, start small. 10 minutes is good. You do not have to be fast. You do not have to be strong. Just go. Just move. Let your body wake up. Let your heart feel calm. Every step is a gift. Every stretch is a new start. Every breath is a soft reminder. You are here. You are strong. You are alive. And that is why I exercise in the park every day. Thank you for listening.